What is going on YouTube? Dr. Away here, and this video is going to be dedicated towards infantry gear. The main thing that I'm trying to get across through this video is what pieces to get, what pieces not to get, and where should you stop or how far you should go with your gear. For infantry specifically, I'll do a video like this for each troop type, and I think that this is a really good way to break it down. I've been trying to make this video for a while, and I attempted to make the video before, but I didn't like exactly how I was presenting the information. But I think this way is the best way to present the information. So let's get into it. So I'll start off by saying, generally speaking, what you want to do with your gear is that you want as much health typically as possible, followed by defense, followed by attack, and that's because there's diminishing returns on how much of a stat you have. So because you can get attack in so many different places, attack is less desirable to have in your equipment, and when possible, you want more health and defense, health more than defense. And then also you want as much of a stat as you possibly can. Now, as you move up through tiers of equipment, it becomes dear near exponentially more expensive to craft. Like crafting a white common is definitely easier to craft than a green, and once you get to elite blue and so on and so forth. So legendary is the highest tier, and sometimes it's not all that much of a difference between a blue piece, epic piece, and in some cases a legendary piece, due to the nature of how the stats that you want and how much you're getting and how expensive it is to craft. So now what I'll do is I'll talk about wet pieces that I think are really good that you should focus on, instead of talking about what to start with. I just want to show you the pieces that are super good, super value oriented, and then I'll talk about what's a good stopping point value set, where it's not necessarily a complete set or a complete gear set, but it's good enough to go out in a season of conquest and you wouldn't be ashamed of the march. And then I'll show you a set that if you go all the way, all legendary, this is what you would probably do. And I think that before I didn't even want to include that all legendary set, but I think it's very valuable now because of the iconic attributes that's associated with the legendary gear, especially when we start to get more of those crystals over time. So let's start with what pieces are top tier, in my opinion, or value oriented. Let's put it that way, not necessarily top tier, but the first thing is the Gatekeeper Shield. It's a blue. It's very reasonable to craft. You'll get a lot of patterns even through crystal keys, and you get 8% health. You're on a special talent and get 10.5. There's really no other solid options. Like, you got Blessed Blade, but it's like this isn't too much more expensive and it's better. The Fubuki it's not really a good upgrade pathway. And then your next best option is more attack, which is better, but extremely expensive. But we'll get to that. And I don't even want to talk about all of that, but just Gatekeeper Shield, for obvious reasons. You want health. It gives you a fair amount of it. Special talented. Cheap. And the options for the helmets, that non-legendary helmets, are really tough for infantry. The best that you can really do is the Windswept Warhelm. I don't really advocate for crafting the Witch's Lineage, because this is gonna be one of the first slots that you make legendary. So I haven't been a fan of trying to hunt for Witch's Lineage patterns to special talented, because ultimately I'm going to get rid of it anyway. So I think Windswept is very reasonable. And it comes with the march speed, which is very relevant to infantry as a whole. So that's my thought process with that value-oriented piece. Okay, now next, I think it's the kind of the same case, right? You will get a set bonus if you do the windswept here, and I recommend that. And that's mainly because, like, again, your upgrade path is, getting attack. You typically don't want that, and if you were to do this special talented, this is also one of the first slots that you would get a legendary on, probably the first that you will get, which is you would get the Hope Cloak, but we'll talk about that later. So just to get the set bonus, to get the defense, to get a little bit of march speed, and you can special talented and it's cheap, I think it's a great option. A very good option. So you got the double windswept chest, and the helmet, gatekeeper shield. Moving on to the gloves. The Calvin's hand gives, a fair bit of stats, although it's attack for a blue, 5% of stats on a glove, I think is very good. And I also want to point out that the Steph's brutality is also very good, 5.5% defense. If special talent, you'll get 7.5%. I think that it's very good, and this is a great stopping point. You really don't have to go too much farther than this if you don't want to, and we'll get to that. Okay, and then with the pans, there really are no good pans other than the Korok's humility. That's epic or lower. You would probably start with Ranger trousers. Okay, fine. It makes no sense why you would craft these. I would just wait to get the 8% infantry health, 10.5% special talented, and this would be the first epic piece that I would try to get, because it's a big bonus to not only get more stats but also switch from attack to health. This would be the first epic piece that I would craft. Okay, now with the boots, you have two options in my opinion, kind of three, but I think the two other options are better. I would say windswept, but you're not really going for the 4 set bonus to get the 4% march speed. And I think there's a better option at blue, which is the Scarlet Hounds. You'll get 4% health. I think it's 5.5% special talented. Very cheap, right? And you get health. If you want a little bit more stats and you didn't care about the health as much, you can get 5.5% from Frost Treads once you're special talented. 7.5%. I think that's very reasonable, and this is one of those things where if you wanted to stop here, you can. Right? So now let's talk about if I was making a value-oriented set. So this is what's not going to change, right? You're going to special talent the Gatekeeper Shield. You're going to have the Steph's Brutality. You're definitely going to have the Koroks. And then you'll have the Frost Treads, or some people might say the Scarlet Hounds is fine. I wouldn't be upset if somebody made that argument, right? But so once you got that, now what you're going to be looking to replace, like I said, there's not really a lot of good options for the helmet or the chest. So those are what you upgrade first. So now maybe you do the chest first, maybe you do the helmet first. It kind of doesn't matter as much either way, because they're both giving you about the same amount of stats. So now the Hope Cloak is a very good piece, 12.5% infantry defense. It's going to take 60 legendary materials. Definitely you're going to have to hunt for this pattern. You're going to have to do the hunt for history or the egg event. I really like the egg event. I really do. But you can also save up hunt for history, hammers over, more than one event cycle. You can save up 90 hammers over 3 times, and then go for something like the Hope Cloak. Okay, but I would definitely craft this piece. Throw that on there to replace the Quinn Soul, or if you were being more value oriented, the Windswept Breastplate. Okay, now once you do that, you also want to replace the Witch's Lineage or the Windswept Helmet, right? And what you would do is you would get the Golden Helm of Eternal Empire for 11% infantry defense. It also takes 60 materials. So I guess if you really wanted to, if you were trying to be super anal about it, right, you would craft this for the same amount of materials for 1% more defense, I guess. Both of those pieces kind of go hand in hand. So now, Once you have that, right, you're not really taking advantage of the set bonus that comes with this. So I do recommend just pushing just a little bit farther. One more legendary item that's a part of the set for infantry, and you can go the Eternal Empire gloves, or you can go the the Eternal Empire boots, the sturdy boots. Now, I kind of don't know which one's better. They cost the same amount. It's the same type of upgrade. They both give you 7.5%, right? One gives you the infantry, health base. The other one will give you attack. And because of the way the stats work. Oh wait, because of the way that the stats work, where is it here? Yeah, they having either one is effectively almost about the same type of value, because you will have more. This will be augmented more by the attack, but less valuable. The health will be augmented less by your health stat, but more like it's just weird. It balances out pretty well. So just choose one. If it was me personally, I'm probably just gonna go with the Van braces, because I think that the options for the boots, like whether you do Scarlet Hound or Frost Treads, is still super legit. And I guess Self's Brutality is the same, but there's like the blue tier, I guess, is less. But I'm getting like I'm nitpicking at this point, right? Let me go back in here. Okay, so that's your value set. Just to recap, your value set is going to be the Gatekeepers. You'll have the Golden Helm, Eternal Empire, the Hope Cloak. You'll have the Van Braces of the Eternal Empire to complete the set for 3% defense. You'll have Karak's Humility, and then you'll have Frost Treads. Now it's like, once you have that, I think you're good to go with that set, and I would 100% work on something else. Whether it be accessories, whether it be another Marcus equipment, because once you get to about that point, you're good to go. But if you did want to go farther, what would you do? Okay, assuming that you wanted to keep the two-piece set bonus, which I do recommend, what you'll end up doing is you can do two things, which is it's almost the same thing, but I'll get into it. So the first thing, and I'm gonna go in order. So the first thing that I would do is I would make the sturdy boots of the Empire. So now you have like 3 pieces basically. Now the reason why I'm saying sturdy boots is because eventually what you'll end up doing is you'll replace the Eternal Empire with the KVK helm at some point. But the other option you could do, which you get more stats, is the Shield's Return. But because of the nature of it, and like, not to say that that's bad, you can do that and then just keep the Eternal Empire, but that's not like, I guess, the most optimal thing to do. But I also don't think that it's necessarily optimal to end up swapping this piece out for the KVK helmet, especially if you're not making. It would make sense if you were making a second infantry march, which I am doing, so that's why I'm doing it that way. But if you're only going to make one, maybe you just keep the helmet Eternal Empire and then you just make Shield's Return. Because at that point, if you already know you're never going to make the KVK helmet, then there you go, right? Then after that, I would say, see, I'm torn, because you don't want to get rid of the health per se that you have. But I guess you could go Eternal Knight. These are kind of tougher decisions. I guess you go Eternal Knight, get that next, and then you would get the Helm of the Conqueror, right? And then you would finish the set by getting the KVK hammer, the hammer of the sun and moon for 25% attack. So I know I said a lot there, so just to recap, you have the KVK hammer for your final set. You have your KVK hammer, you'll have your KVK helm, you'll do the Hope Cloak, then you'll do the Van Braces for one set piece, you'll do Eternal Night, and you'll do the Sturdy Boots for the second set piece, so you can get the 3% extra defense. And then once you do that, dude, I mean, that's such a strong, I mean, that's top tier. No special talents needed. I mean, if you're open field and you have that, I mean, who's not too many people, a typical person is going to be running around with better gear than that. Maybe by the time you say something, maybe, but who knows? That's infantry gear. I hope you enjoyed the video. Infantry is my favorite troop type. I love infantry commanders. Hopefully this definitely helped. Leave a comment if you have any questions, or you have any comments, concerns, or there was something I said that wasn't correct in the video, or you feel like there's some other things I should have addressed. Go ahead. You're a beautiful person. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.